In Tech Matters, protection services for victims of the OPM breach. This week, Acting Director Beth Cobert announced the Office of Personnel Management had awarded a contract to Identity Theft Guard Solutions. That company will provide identity and credit protection services to more than 20 million federal workers. Joining me with more is Jill Aitoro, editor of Federal Times. Jill, let's start with this announcement. What is OPM offering? How much will it cost? And when will federal workers be notified?
So basically, this contract, it's actually a task order, I should say, provides 3 years of fraud protection, identity theft protection, insurance for the victims of the breach. What's important to note is this was awarded under a larger BPA, which included more companies than this one contract award provided for. So the task order was worth $133 million, I believe. The larger BPA could be worth as much as $500 million. And the significance of that, it's probably the bigger part of the story, to be honest, is it's going to allow other agencies, in theory, to have access to this kind of fraud protection for their employees should other breaches happen. So it's kind of a ready-made contract vehicle for agencies to utilize down the road. So it shouldn't, in theory, take so long for victims to get protection if this were to happen again.
Let's get back to that coverage period. Federal workers unions and some lawmakers argued for lifetime protection. Read between the lines for us. Why 3 years?
Well, I mean, the reality is lifetime protection would mean pulling under that umbrella any kind of potential fraud that had nothing to do with the breach in government. So I think to some degree this is government saying, hey, you know, there are any number of ways that your identity could potentially get exposed. We all saw it with Target, of course. We saw it with Home Depot. People's identities are getting breached all the time. So to provide lifetime coverage would mean providing coverage for all those other incidences that, that employees could potentially find themselves in. And the other important note to keep in mind is, generally speaking, the OPM breach, most people believe, happened from China, from basically an enemy country that it's trying to access government systems. Security experts don't generally believe that what they are after is identity. They're not going to be going and trying to open credit cards in federal employees' names. That's generally not what they're trying to do here. So the risk is there, and government, you know, is trying to appease workers that are making a demand because of those risks, which is completely legitimate. But in terms of whether or not they're probably going to have their identity stolen, most think that's not what these hackers were after.
Now, Jill, you're also following another blanket purchase agreement. 18F just released the first set of contracts on its Agile Development BPA. Now, there's a lot of buzz around this. What's the big deal?
You know, this has the potential to create a new way of buying technology for federal agencies, software most notably. Generally, what is usually used is what is called a waterfall approach in terms of development, and that's where you lay out the ultimate goals of a project and then get a contract put in place so that companies will have to deliver on that entire project. Agile approach to development allows companies to kind of break a larger program into small chunks, and so they can approach it incrementally, make changes to the requirements as they go along, as various challenges emerge. So it confines them a little less into a particular approach. The goal of this is to provide all agencies access to this way of developing IT, and it has the potential to, we hope, lead to fewer problems, fewer healthcare.gov situations where this gigantic project just got too large to even manage. So the hope is that it'll improve procurement, it'll improve IT projects over the long term, and provide access, easy access to these types of developers to all the agencies in federal government.
Before you go, let's talk about your new job. You bring a lot of experience to Federal Times. How will you shape their coverage of the federal IT marketplace?
Well, you know, Federal Times has really started to emphasize IT a lot in terms of our coverage, even before I came on board, because really that's kind of at the base of everything that government is doing right now. As you know, Morris, a lot of my background was focusing on procurement, IT contracting, that area of federal management. And the reality is that as innovative as federal government is, a lot of the innovation is happening in private sector through their contractors. It's just the reality. So a lot of what my hope is to expand our coverage to include more about how government is partnering with industry to improve how they implement technology, how they roll out projects, how they establish these types of BPAs and procurements. So we'll see a little bit more in terms of how government is partnering with the contractors and with industry to be more innovative. That's my hope. That's my goal.
Good luck to you. Jill Aitoro, editor of Federal Times. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.